looking at the 30th verse. We're starting at the 30th verse of the 22nd chapter of the Acts of the Apostles, where we read this. The commander wanted to find out exactly why Paul was being accused by the Jews. So the next day he released him and ordered the chief priests and all the members of the Sanhedrin to assemble. Then he brought Paul and had him stand before them. You recall that a group of Jews had identified Paul in the synagogue and stirred up the city, accusing him of disrespecting the Mosaic law and the temple. And they grabbed Paul and they were trying to kill him. And word got to the Roman authorities, and the state, the Roman authorities, saved Paul from literally being lynched by religious people. That'll preach by itself, but we will keep moving on from there. Paul was arrested, but the mob followed and still wanted to kill him. Things looked grim and didn't look so good. But as we shared last week, Paul demonstrated what I called then, and I say now, situational awareness. Situational awareness. He was calm, he was respectful, and he was calculated. And the question I asked, and I ask again, is how well do we navigate spaces like that? What is our situational awareness? Hopefully, we won't be in situations like Paul, not exactly like that, but in the sense that we're not in control of the situation and or maybe you're falsely accused. And as I shared, too many people have one gear. Too many people have one gear. It's either we're passive or we're passive aggressive or we just go nuclear. We just, if you punch me, I'm gonna punch you back and I'm gonna punch you harder. If you're gonna diss me, you just wait and see to what I've got planned for you. And we just lay in wait, for that opportunity to, okay, yeah, I got receipts, okay, all right. But Paul was calm, respectful, and calculated. And he navigated the opportunity to speak to the mob, and he got to the part of equating the need for baptism and reconciliation and the fact that we're sinners, those under the Mosaic law and Gentiles. And when they heard that, when the mob heard that, they had had enough. That's it. What they said was, away with such a fellow from the earth. Away with such a fellow from the earth. That's the NIV translation. Not the ghetto message version, as you. I didn't highlight this previously, but as I considered what he said, what was said, they're essentially saying both that the person and the message are anathema. Both the person and the message, away with it. It's like Stephen when he was being stoned, and they covered up their ears as they were killing him and refusing to hear what was being said. Away with the message and the messenger. And if you really hear me, it begs the question, what message do we have? And to what extent are we willing to deliver that message? What is the message we have, collectively and individually? And what are we willing to do, to experience, to deliver that message? Is our message one of, I'll deliver a message of, I'll go along to get along in an attempt to do some synchronistic, just porcupine dance? Can we all just get along? And make believe that if we just live and let live, all will be well? Or do we possess an awareness and willingness like the lad in the fairy tale. You remember the fairy tale where the king was sold a bill of goods. He was whoever the tux guy said, here's a set of clothes, but you had to be really discerning to see these clothes. And so the king was strutting around naked. And everybody who wanted to win the affection and to go along to get along just went along. It's like, man, that's a fine set of clothes. Nobody wanted to say, bro. It took a kid to say, you can imagine, Mom? Shh, shh. Paul didn't mince words. His behavior matched his rhetoric. His behavior matched his rhetoric. And he had situational awareness. He was calm, he was respectful, and he was calculated. And when he was being prepared to be whipped by the authorities, he just simply asked the question, is it legal to flog a Roman citizen who hasn't been convicted of anything? I'm just asking, kind of like Peter Falk in Columbo. I'm just asking. That stopped everything, and that's where we begin this morning. The next day, the tribune, the commander, brings Paul and the Sanhedrin, the Jewish leadership, together. Let's get to the bottom of this situation. Why do these people want you deader than dead? And although Rome was in charge, there was ascribed a certain level of independence. You can do your little religious stuff or whatever. You can pretend like you're in charge. You're really not in charge, because obviously we have a council that's going on here. But let's hear what's going on, and this will give some degree of peace in this area that was subjugated and under the Roman authority. So chapter 23, verse 1 reads, Paul looked straight at the Sanhedrin and said, my brothers, I have fulfilled my duty to God in all good conscience to this day. At this, the high priest Ananias ordered those standing near Paul to strike him on the mouth. You do realize that there are consequences for you all telling the truth, right? There are consequences for saying the truth. And you also know that some of the most hurtful punches are non-physical. I've had my share of being on the receiving end of, throwing hands and all that stuff. But some of the most hurtful things have been non-physical. And when you say certain things, it may cost you friendships, relationships, even loss of intimacy, someone or something that you were close to. How dare you, Paul? Essentially, they're suggesting that this assembly, what you're suggesting is that this assembly is illegal or a joke, or just smack them. Just smack them. What was Paul's response? This is me. Then Paul said to him, God will strike you, you whitewashed wall. You sit there to judge me according to the law, yet yourself violate the law by commanding that I be struck. I can hear you now. Paul doesn't seem so calm, respectful, or calculated right now. But look carefully. Look at the text and what's between the lines and the echo of what Jesus' words to religious leaders, calling them whitewashed tombs. Well, isn't this a clap back? It's not so much clapping back as much as it's just a mirror being held up to the face. You hypocrite. How dare you stand in judgment with me and have me slapped, and I have done nothing wrong? You got a little bit of homework today. So your first order of homework is Leviticus 19, verse 15. You can read the whole chapter, but Leviticus 19, 15. How dare you? It's like, no, there's a process to adjudication. And you guys, if I haven't done anything, what have I done? And you're popping me upside the chops here. It's like, no. Verse 4. Those who were standing near Paul said, how dare you insult God's high priest? Paul replied, oh, those are mine. Brothers, I didn't realize that he was the high priest, for it is written, do not speak evil about the ruler of your people. Calm, respectful, calculated. Paul just reacted. The human side of Paul came out. You said that? Your mama. No, I'm just, no, you guys would never do that. Yeah, it's just. Deacon Molly, would you do? No, I'm just saying. Homework, 1 Samuel 24, 6, and 26, 9 through 11. That's 1 Samuel 24, 6, and then 26, 9 through 11. And then also read Exodus 22, 27. Exodus 22, 27. I won't ask how many have hot buttons. Everybody's got hot buttons. Everybody's got 1, 2, 30. Those things that, if done, can cause us, if we're not careful, to go blind with anger and become dismissive to the person speaking to us. So you say, you're dead to me. I'm just going to cut you off. You hurt me, you're dead to me. I shared the story before, I share now. I don't even know what we were arguing about, Sister Meeks and I. But Sister Meeks she's an English major. And she, I mean, it's like, you've seen those with those swords, those fencing, Madeline, those friends, with the fencers. It's like, before you know it, it's like, oh man, I've been mortally wounded and I didn't even know it. But we had a heated discussion. This is years ago, y'all. So, and I'm just, okay, all right. She's quicker on the draw than I am. But like the chess player I am, okay, she's gonna say this and I'm gonna say this. And she'll probably respond this way and I'm gonna say this. And she'll probably say one other thing and I'm gonna say this. Whatever it was, and I don't even know what it was, and that's the truth. I don't even know what it was, but I had it all lined up. And I could hear the Holy Spirit just in the back of my head saying, you better shut up. And he said it just like that. It wasn't like, oh, be quiet. No, he said, you better shut up. And I'm arguing with God. No, I got disrespected. I don't know what the day is, but today is the day. I shut up. And to this day, that's how the evil one, he's so pernicious. It was a nothing burger, I'm sure. But at the time, it was my hot button, and I'm gonna say something to a nothing burger and go nuclear. What are you saying, Pastor Meeks? Our response reflects who we are and whose we are. Our response reflects who we are and whose we are. I remember my younger brother will, you can ask him too. I've shared before, breakfast table at Reuben and Henrietta's table. You had to be on time or you didn't eat. And the prayer to get the morning started was long. Long, y'all. Long. Eggs cold, biscuits cold, kind of long. Long. And the tail end, the amen, if you will, to whatever prayer my father offered was either Proverbs 3, 5, 6 or Psalms, see, and we all know that one, but do we know Psalm 19, 14? Let the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, my strength, my Redeemer. Paul apologizes, essentially, and with amazing situational awareness. He recognized, too quick, but he's not going to let this moment pass. And with situational awareness, he pivots the whole conversation, verse 6. Then Paul, knowing that some of them were Sadducees and others Pharisees, called out in the Sanhedrin, "My brothers, I'm a Pharisee, descended from Pharisees. I stand on trial because of the hope of the resurrection of the dead." True fact. When he said this, a dispute broke out between the Pharisees and the Sadducees, and the assembly was divided. The Sadducees said there is no resurrection, and there are neither angels nor spirits, but the Pharisees believe all these things. There was a great uproar, and some of the teachers of the law who were Pharisees stood up and argued vigorously. "We find nothing wrong with this man," they said. "What if a spirit or an angel had spoken to him?" The dispute became so violent that the commander was afraid Paul would be torn to pieces by them. He ordered the troops to go down, take him away from them by force, and bring him into the barracks. I was sharing with Deacon Nate this morning. I said, Paul was a boss. Paul, he was prepared. He was warm. He was warned. But he was calm, respectful, and calculated. I'm closing. This is verse 11. The following night, the Lord stood near Paul and said, "Take courage. As you have testified about me in Jerusalem, so you must testify in Rome." Paul had been warned. He'd been warned by God. He had been warned by fellow believers. The path he would walk when he returned to Jerusalem. But all the little details were missing. All the little fill in the blanks were missing. And it's a funny thing that the thing that my wife loves about mysteries, the beginning with the unknown and the ending in discovery, is what I can't stand. You know, it's just like, okay, let's just cut to the chase, then let's start over, and then we can just relax and enjoy whatever it is we're watching. See, that's why folks peek through their fingers. They're like, I don't want to see. I want to see. It's scary stuff. But Scripture informs us that we walk by faith, not by sight. But there are times of refreshing and reassurance that God is with us even until the end. Your last bit of homework. Read 2 Kings chapter 6. 2 Kings chapter 6. Elijah asks God to open the eyes of his attendant, his servant, that was fearful because they were being surrounded by the enemy and the folks that were arrayed around them. They were terrifying. Visually, they were terrifying. The situation was beyond. There was more month than money. It was looking pretty bleak and pretty grim. And then Elisha said, "Open his eyes. Open." That's what Elijah said. "Don't be afraid." The prophet answered, "Those who are with us are more than those who are with them." Those who are with us are more than those that are with them. And as Elijah prayed, open his eyes, Lord, so that he may see. Then the Lord opened the eyes of the servant's eyes, and he looked and he saw the hills full of horses and chariots of fire all around Elisha. I'm not telling you, and I know firsthand how things are going to happen in your life, that they're going to all be smooth. They're all going to be easy. They're all going to be a bed of roses. But the Lord said, take courage. You've testified about me in Jerusalem. Now you must testify about me in Rome. So God has issued a ticket to Paul in Rome. That's a bit of relief given the situation I'm in right now, because I got this mob, I'm in chains, I don't have control of my own situation, and God has just shared with me, you're going to Rome. Okay, all right, do your thing, world, do your thing, whatever. I'm good. I'm good because God has assured me that I'm on my way to Rome. I shared last week about life and whether our approach is one of a life lived, a series of events of disconnected dots, or is there a arc to where we're going? You know, a dot here, a high, a dot here, a low, a dot here, a crisis, a dot here, a success, and they're just dots with no continuous thread. As I like to challenge myself and challenge you all, where are we going? Where are we going? Where are we going? Well, right now I'm just focused on this. I get it. Sometimes if the dishes are dirty, what you need to focus on is washing the dishes. But look at the washing of the dishes in the context of maintaining a household that has purpose for raising a family, teaching behavior to my kids so that they see mom and dad washing dishes. You learn to wash dishes, repairing this, doing that, going off and working and coming back. The responsibilities. It's not just, I got to wash this dish. Then I'll figure out what I do next. Where are we going?